Decades is a show made up of 5 generations of people brought together to discuss topics you wouldn't normally talk about with others. The goal of the show is to learn by having some good, possibly heated discussions without losing the simple fact that it's okay to talk to different people with different opinions other than your own.
Welcome to Decades on the NGBN.TV network. Thank you for subscribing on YouTube and LinkedIn and all that good stuff. It's also on Spotify as well, so make sure you check out Decades on all of those and make sure you subscribe and share. My name is Chris Rubio. I will be the host of tonight's episode. This is episode 26, I think. Tonight's topics are going to be hot topics. We're going to cover several, but let's meet our panelists first. We're going to start most mature, most seasoned, to the youngest. All right. First up from Idaho, we've got Judge Jay Gaskell. We call him the Judge. He's a Seahawks fan. He's a retired district court judge. He makes the best old fashioned in the Northwest, allegedly. What is up, Judge?
Not much, Rubio. Happy to be back.
Fantastic. Happy to have you back. Welcome back. He was in Alaska for a while. Next up, we have from the free state of Florida, Bill Geiser, also representing our 60s. He's an entrepreneur, a wearable tech guru, and a phenomenal swimmer. What's up, Bill Geiser?
Hello, gentlemen. Good to be here.
Fantastic. Representing our 50s, we've got Alex Chris. He's originally from the Ukraine, grew up in the USSR, lives in LA. He's a beer connoisseur and heads up the Charlie Sheen fan club. What's up, Alex Chris?
Greetings from the People's Republic of California.
A new member, we've got a lady, Jenna Ganje, in her 30s, lives in Canada. She's a CrossFit competitor. Her heaviest deadlift is 315. Good God. And she once killed a bat with a steak knife in a house. Okay. Welcome, Jenna.
Hi. It's actually Ganji.
What did I say?
I don't know, Ganje or something.
I think I said Ganji. Maybe I
did. Okay, sorry.
I'm terrible with names. Next up, represent our 20s. We've got two of them. Let's start with Charles Wallace Jr. We call him Chalice. He's a 2-time wiffle ball champion, host from Gridiron to Goalposts, and really into AI blondes and bikinis, and one of the best, I guess you call it a gambler. Is that what you are, a gambler that I know?
A sports investor. Let's get
Sports
fancy.
investor. Okay, even better. Welcome, Chalice. And last but certainly not least, we've got Cruz Rubio, also representing his 20s, a student athlete in Middle California, Southern Oregon, likes to barbecue, argue, wear chanclas, and go to the beach. And he's got a torn bicep, so he's basically coming off the Chalice bench of earlier when Chalice had that blown out ankle. So we're happy to have Cruz here. Welcome, Cruz.
Howdy.
All right, guys. Before we even get into, I have a couple questions. Judge, what is your favorite movie to feature a judge? Huh?
Judge Roy Bean.
Judge Roy Bean. What the hell's that?
I don't know. I just made that up.
Oh, Jesus, Judge.
I don't watch
Okay.
That's pretty quick, though.
All right. Email question for Cruz. Cruz, what is the best and worst part about being a long snapper?
Best part is probably that you don't get a lot of attention on you. I prefer to keep it that way. Try to stay out of the spotlight as much as possible. The worst part is that there's a ton of pressure on you without the spotlight.
Well, what was the worst part?
I said the worst part is that there's a ton of pressure on you.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I didn't feel that pressure. I was just that high level. Nope, my bad. Didn't understand what you're saying. All right, let's start with the hot topic. I think we'll start with the one that's right in front of everyone, and we'll start with the judge since you were there when I think this fight originally started back in 0. Let's talk about what's going on right now in the Middle East. Go.
What do you want to know?
I want to know what is your thoughts? Is there any side to be had here besides Israel and Palestine, the Hamas? I mean, is this one of those things where you just let it go and just let them fight it out until the death? I mean, or what's the answer here? Is there an answer?
I don't think there is an answer. I mean, the Middle East have been fighting ever since there's been the Middle East. It's been one faction against another. I don't think that's ever going to change. I think Hamas made a big mistake, though, because I think at this time the Israeli government's about as conservative and right-wing as they've ever been, and I anticipate a very strong comeback.
Yeah, and Charles, what do you think about that? I mean, if you're Israel, you really can't just say, okay, let's talk about this. I mean, they came in literally guns a-blazing.
Yeah, I mean, me personally, first time ever, me and the judge are going to agree on something. I don't really have a dog in the fight here from a personal standpoint, but yeah, I mean, there's not, there's nothing that Israel can do except retaliate. I mean, you can't, on the world stage like this, let something like that slide. It's just not it wouldn't be a good look, on an international level. And I just don't see any nation that would let something like that go.
Yeah, you just can't. Jenna, I want to talk to you, being our Canadian right now. What are your thoughts about you? I'm seeing all these groups piling on and having these rallies for both sides in Canada and in America. What are your thoughts on that? I'm very confused about this.
Honestly, I'm not sure. I think it's just too hard to comprehend both sides.
Yeah, I agree. Bill, do you think there's any, because immediately you're thinking, I was thinking, sleeper cells. We've had people coming across the border for 3 years, just unrelenting. Is there any thought in the back of your head like, okay, we could have had some of these people sprinkle in? Bill, guys.
Yes. Okay.
I think it's a possibility, but my thoughts are really with the Israeli people. My first company that I sold to an Israeli company. I've spent time in Israel. I've got friends in Israel. I think it's a terrible situation. I agree with the judge. I think these guys, Hamas, made a fundamentally strategic mistake, and they are going to pay dearly for this. This is going to change that part of the world forever.
In what way do you say? Bill?
I think they're going to wipe them off the map. I think they're going to literally wipe this country off the map. I think they will issue a warning to all the Palestinians that you have X amount of time to get out, and if you don't, we're gonna just bomb you just into rubble.
What do you think about Bill's
I
statement?
think they're going to take the gloves off totally on this one.
Cruz, what do you think about Bill's statement right there?
Yeah, I don't think he's very far off. I think that Hamas coming into Israel was a horrible mistake. I think kind of like we all said, but I think some of the long-term effects are what you got to think of. You have to kind of wonder if Hezbollah and Iran is going to kind of step in a little bit. If they step in, does America step in? Does this create a whole new thing? I think it's a lot bigger than just Palestine and Israel right now. And I think it's really awful what's happening on both sides. I think that while these two, I want to say, governments are fighting each other, there's innocent civilians that are getting lives lost because of it, because of these two feuds.
Gru, is there anything that America can do right now?
Well, America already made a mistake by giving Iran $6 billion, okay? And that was actually Iran funds Hamas, and that's one of the reasons why I think what happened, okay? And the only solution is to eradicate all the Hamas, like Israel did after Israeli team was killed in Munich in 1972. They killed all of them and then some. That's the only solution in my opinion.
You guys all did fantastic. We're going to come back right after this. We're going to talk a little baseball, but it's going to be kind of a very, very weird thing to talk about. And Jen, I'm actually glad you're here on this one because I want to hear your opinion on this as well. That's going to come right back after this commercial.
You have been watching Decades, a show on the NGBN.TV network.
This is NGBN TV, a network for men and home to top experts, speakers, authors, and more. Streaming TV for men, created by men.
But why?
Why are we a network that inspires,
educates, entertains, celebrates, and supports
men in their 40s, 50s, and 60s, simply to save men's lives?
There is an epidemic in our community,
and it's taking men from us.
I'm talking about mental health and suicide.
But we have an answer, and it's streaming, live shows, sports, concerts, and more.
In a real way for men to lock shields.
We can't wait to launch this TV network for you and with you.
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 Join our movement at ngbn.tv, coming January 2024.
Back to decades. Take it away, Rubio.
I just realized that I was so excited to get the episode going because we've had 2 weeks off because everyone's been traveling. I forgot to introduce Sub 60 Ed. And then he came on the commercial. And I was like, I missed that big giant head. Sub 60 Ed, I apologize. I don't know what you're doing in the back. Yeah, that's on me, Sub 60. That's enough out of you. Okay. About 2.5 years ago, there was a Cy Young baseball player. He's one of the best in the world at his job. I think he was pitching for the Dodgers. So, Cruz, you'll know him. And he was out having a good time as a professional athlete. He was, let's say, having several relationships with some ladies. He got involved with one that was not, let's just say, a friendly human being. She decided to, accuse him of, I think, battery as well as rape. And he got immediately thrown under the bus by Major League Baseball and every mainstream media. We're talking about Trevor Bauer. He was immediately banished from the Major League Baseball Association. He was basically sent off to Japan to play. His life was essentially ruined. He was worth $51 million at that point. I'm not sure what he's worth now. And it just turned out about last week, he came out and said, I have this video statement. The whole thing was set up. He has text messages. He's got video messages. What are your thoughts on this? What, Judge, I wanted to talk to you. Does he have anything legal about this first? I wanted, because you're the alleged judge. Can he do anything about this? Slander, anything, defamation of character?
Sure. You can always sue for slander or libel or defamation of character. The problem is that often only increases the publicity and the visibility of it, and it backfires on you to do that.
And if she's worth like $1.78, he can't really get anything.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly.
Okay, Chalice, I know you. This is a burns for you. What is your thoughts on this? Chalice.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough. Yeah, I'm a big sports fan. Obviously, with my other show and everything. So this isn't the first time that something like this has happened to a professional athlete, and it won't be the last. And I think that when women do things like this, it really not only does it ruin these athletes' images because the court of public opinion already judges you, but it also hurts women who are actually victims. And it makes women who are actually victims of violent crime less likely to be believed because there's so many cases now piling on top of each other where it turns out to be a total farce.
Yeah, I mean, it goes back to Duke lacrosse like 10 years ago, with a whole thing like that. And then you have the new Michigan State football coach who was allegedly having phone sex with this lady, but it was like a 30 or sending text messages or something like that. And it's coming out that she was lying as well. Jenna, being the female on the panel, what are your thoughts on this? Because as a man, I mean, you can see we're getting kind of a little fired up about this. Like, oh, someone can just accuse you and boom, you're done.
I agree with Charles Wallace because it's not fair to the people who actually are victims. And there's tons out there who won't say anything because of people like that who do say something, it turns out to be false. And right away, if you do say something from personal experience, you're a liar. It's not true. It's not true. It's not true. So you just stop before you can actually tell someone who can help you.
Is there any solution to this, Bill Geiser?
The question I've got is, does he have any claims against his employer? Unfortunately, not due to anything he did wrong. He was falsely accused by somebody, and his employer terminated his contract. And I'm sure there was like a moral turpitude or some sort of clause in there that in his contract that gave the employer the right to terminate the contract should he do something like that. Unfortunately, the shelf life of an athlete is short. And so his professional career is essentially over. He cannot be given those years back. And the question is, can he reach into the pocket of the Dodgers and say, pay me?
Judge, I guess that's a question for you.
Well, I think Bill hit it right on the nose. There is probably a moral turpitude clause that says if you bring disrepute upon our organization for whatever reason or cause problems for the organization, they can fire you. But I think the bigger problem, I mean, this is a microcosm of our whole society. I was a defense attorney for a long time. You're accused of a crime, and it's in the paper, you're guilty. It's not just these kinds of cases. It's any kind of case where you're accused of something.
Well, and that goes back to Russell Brand. I mean, he's got accused recently by I think 4 or 5 women, and YouTube took his page down. I mean, that's his livelihood. That's how he makes his money. And even the Canadian government, was it not the Canadian government or
UK government?
UK government sent letters saying, please take him off of Rumble or YouTube. And this is just accusations. He hasn't been convicted of anything. That is insane. Cruz, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I just think it shows the power that cancel culture has within our society right now. I mean, like it was previously stated, this isn't the first time, and I'm sure it won't be the last time that this happens to an athlete or a celebrity or anything. I mean, you look back, I mean, I know he wasn't completely innocent. I know he's not the model for this, but you look back at the Johnny Depp case that we talked about, I think it was maybe a year ago or so, where it turned out that there was a whole different story than what she was saying. Same thing that turned around and ended up happening with the punter for the Bills, Matt Ariza. You know, he comes out, he gets drafted. Nothing comes out during his college career, but then he gets drafted. I mean, this is, and like Jenna and Charles said, this is, you know, this doesn't hurt anyone. I mean, it hurts the athletes and the celebrities that are getting victimized for this, but it hurts the women in general for that. Now women don't feel comfortable coming out because they don't feel like their word is truth anymore.
I knew one of my long snappers that played at a certain college. I won't say the college. It was a high level college, but he was telling me that they literally, if you're going out and you're hooking up with a girl at night, they had to get waivers signed by the girl, like before they were going in to let's say get busy, saying you are not hammered, you are not stoned. This is completely legal. This is what you want. This is what I want. Let's do it. And I was like, that's insane. But he was saying you had to do it. And it was basically to cover your ass the entire time. Gru, what are your thoughts on this before we move on?
Well, there is a current Manchester United player who was accused. He's Brazilian. He was accused by his ex-girlfriend of some sexual battery and sexual this and that. And he was suspended for a while, but he was, I think, interviewed by both Brazilian police and Manchester police. And it turns out that she was lying, and he's back on the team, luckily.
We're going to come back and we're going to talk about, let's do a show of hands. You guys want to talk about transgender swimmers or sanctuary cities? All those in favor of transgender swimmers, raise your hand. One.
Talking about that.
Okay. All those who want to talk about sanctuary cities, raise your hand. One. Judge, you got to raise your hand. So that okay, we'll do sanctuary cities right after this commercial. Sub 60.
You have been watching Decades, a show on the NGBN.TV network.
This is NGBN TV, a network for men and home to top experts, speakers, authors, and more.
I'm Chris Rubio of The Rubio Method.
I'm Charles Wallace of the Bear Essentials Podcast.
This is Bud from the Sports or Gibberish Podcast.
Streaming TV for men, created by men.
Hello, my name is Ian Hill, and I have the tremendous honor of being the CEO of NGBN.TV. We are so excited for you to join us on this journey, helping us build a television network for men in their 40s, 50s, and 60s.
I am NGBN.
I am NGBN.
I am NGBN.
I'm NGBN, and so are you.
Join our movement at NGBN.TV, coming January 2024.
Welcome back to Decades. Take it away, Rubio.
Welcome back to Decades on the NGBN.TV network. Make sure you subscribe and share on Spotify, Google, Amazon, and of course YouTube. And we're also on LinkedIn and Facebook as well. So let's talk sanctuary cities. This one makes me laugh every time I see something like this, where, just I think 2 years ago, you had sanctuary cities saying, welcome, come, everyone, come here, come on, come here, come here, come here. Now that the border's basically open, you have Mayor Eric Adams of New York City just flew to Central America to find out why the migrants are coming. That's a quote. He's on TikTok showing that. He wants to know what their reasoning is. You have Kathy Hochul of New York also saying, we're full, we're full, we're full. Am I the only one that finds this somewhat ironic, or am I losing my mind? Bill Geiser, you're chomping at the bit here. Go ahead.
Well, I think it is a bit ironic. I think it's characteristic of the state of politics. You know, Adams and Hochul and every other big city mayor and governor. They're on the national stage. They're promoting themselves probably more than they're thinking about we the people. And there's clearly a problem with sanctuary cities today, and that they were, for the most part, very, very enthusiastically supporting our open southern border until the southern governors, made sure that the conveyor belt of these people took them directly to New York, Chicago, LA, and so on, and now they're dealing with the consequences of it. And so, good for them for doing it. I do believe states have the right to call these shots. I mean, that's, I think, you can correct me if I'm wrong on the definition of a sanctuary cities, but they effectively elect to not enforce our national immigration laws, and that's a decision they've consciously made, and good for them. Now let them deal with it.
Judge, is he correct on that? Can they do that?
Well, I think they can. There's a long history of them doing it. I think it's just a filtering down, if you will, of the whole states' rights issue. That's our current Supreme Court's big into states' rights, and like Bill said, allowing the states to determine what happens within those states. And if the state allows a city to do that, then I think that's exactly right. That's how it works.
Gru, you had your finger up.
Well, I remember when Obama was president, Arizona was trying to do some immigration enforcement, and Obama government sued Arizona for trying to enforce some immigration stuff that Obama's government didn't want to enforce. And Los Angeles been a sanctuary city since I came into the States since '94. And I mean, it's been the same shit, for last 20, almost 30 years, basically.
Jenna, being our Canadian, do you because you guys are pretty much open up there, you guys take one, take all, but do you watch our news, and is it almost like comical to you? Like, do you understand what's happening with this whole sanctuary cities, or did they not show it up there as much?
I don't see much news like I used to anymore, since the Canadian government banned news on social media platforms, and especially Facebook. So basically, I just see the news on Google, and no, I don't see that as much as Canada, because Canada does take a lot every year. Like, I don't remember the exact number, but I think it's like 700,000 or something. It's high.
Hold on, Jenna, go back. You said something that just blew me away. The Canadian government stopped all news on social media?
Facebook for sure.
CBC.
Wow.
Yeah, and I don't really see news on anything else, but yeah, definitely no news whatsoever on Facebook.
Okay, Chalice, being one of the people in a bigger city, what is your thoughts on this? Because what I don't understand is you have the press secretary get up and say the border's secure, the border's secure, the border's secure, and then someone will say, but the sanctuary city's saying there's too many immigrants coming in. But then no one does the backup question of, so how is the border secure? Where are these people coming in? Are they paragliding in? Being from a bigger city, what is your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I mean, they got to be coming from somewhere, right? And my thing more on the whole issue than the southern border. Obviously, it's open; people are coming in from down there. But I just find it very hypocritical that the people who run these cities and the people who elect them to run these cities, they're for having loose policies. They're for letting people come into the country, but just not where we're at. So I just find that very hypocritical. They can come in, but they just can't come near me.
Yeah.
Well, and that's like you've seen in Chicago recently, they're having parent meetings after parent meetings after parent meetings because they all of a sudden realized they're putting these immigrants in their football, clubhouse, schools. They're coming into the cities, and all the people are saying, hey man, no, send them somewhere else. Send them somewhere else. And they're like, no, you literally voted for this.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's where it's crazy. Cruz, you're nodding your head. What are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I mean, the whole state of the southern border right now is pretty confusing because you're being told one thing from the government and then you're seeing video clips of people just walking right through. I think immigration in general is an important thing for a country, but I think legal immigration is important. When you begin to allow anyone and everybody to come in, that's when bad things start happening.
Yeah.
But I think, accepting these people from southern countries and allowing them, like California is already full of people.
Yeah.
At this point, it doesn't hurt, but making sure that they're good people, that they're going to be good citizens is important. And when you just allow anyone to come through without any sort of, I don't want to say like rules, essentially, that's when shit starts hitting the fan.
Judge, do you think that we can have immigration like the way Cruz is saying, or do we need to go? I don't know if you guys have seen the video of the leader of Poland where he just flat out brags. He's saying, we've got no immigration. We've got no issues. We don't want any more doctors. We don't care where you're from. If you're a scholar, stay away. We just want more Poles. That's all we want. We want more and more and more. So Judge, and he brags about it. And the interviewers, the reporters, they ask him, so you don't want any immigration? He says, none. I don't want anyone. I just want Poles. He even says, if you're Polish and you have I think it's 4 kids, you get a massive tax break, and they pay you to have more kids because he wants it to be more Polish. Is there a fine line between that, Judge, or what is your thought? You're obviously the most left of the panel right now.
My thought is, unless you guys are Native American, I think you need to seriously think this whole immigration thing over. Just because they're from a poor country, I think there's an inscription somewhere that says, "Give me you're tired and you're poor." That's what America was supposed to be founded on. It's why all of us are here. You can draw certain lines, but just to say, no, we're not going to take anybody, it just becomes that whole isolationist thing that's been proven through history not to work.
But if you're going to do that, isn't there an argument, though, that would say, for as long as people have been alive, there's winners and losers. And the Native Americans, they were conquered, they lost. And it's not like they sprouted from the ground. They did not just come up, in New Mexico and just come like a bush out of the ground. They had to have come from somewhere and conquer someone, right?
For thousands of years, they were here, though.
Okay, yeah. I mean, but is there a time frame on it?
Well, I don't know. You have these same arguments about the Irish immigrating. They were the despised people. Now they're incorporated into the culture. So, I mean, I don't think it's any different. It's just on a larger scale.
But go ahead, Gru.
I think the difference between like Irish people or Italians or anybody else who did immigrate to the States before, they did assimilate it in the country. They, basically now they're Americans, and some people who are coming from like South America and Mexico and kind of other countries, they don't want to assimilate. Not all, but some. Okay, I mean, there's a big group of them that just want to live the same way as they live, in Mexico, El Salvador, and break laws and do stuff that they did, back in their home.
But what about the person that says, "Oh, they really wanted to assimilate"? Then how come in New York there's Chinatown, there's Little Italy, there's I mean, you've got it's
okay. It's okay to have your traditions and keep them. I'm not saying you shouldn't, but living in your little enclave and basically saying, "Okay, I wanna." Eat dogs because that's what I used to do in China. Okay, I mean that's not okay with me, for example. Okay.
Go ahead, Cruz.
Yeah, I also think, and it's important to note with like using that example of Poland, I just did like a quick little research of the top 20 ranking world economy rankings, and several of them, like Taiwan, Netherlands, I think even Mexico, have less not as high as GDPs as Poland, but they also have much higher immigration rates. And that's usually what ties into like working economy. So like when you add all these immigration into it, like America does, or America used to with legal immigration, you open up more jobs and it frees up the economy. What you're going to see with Poland moving forward is probably that their economy isn't going to keep rising as much as many other countries. Like example, I mean, I'm looking right now, United States is number 1. You're seeing countries like the United Kingdom, they're on the rise, France, Italy, Canada, Brazil, a lot of these major countries that do allow immigration. And I think that's why I was talking about kind of with like a legal immigration status.
Yeah.
I think that's a perfect way to wrap it up. This was a great episode. Sub 68, come on in. My big-headed friend.
I'm allowed in now?
Yeah.
Let's introduce you.
That's nice. Hi, I'm Sub 60 Ed. I'm the one that's forgotten most times.
Yeah, that's on me. That's on me.
Yes.
So,
Sorry.
So who's the winner?
Oh, I got to give it to our newcomer.
Oh,
Jenna is our
God.
winner. She put up with you jackalopes for 30 minutes.
Okay, yeah.
Come on. One of these days, Rubio, you'll win it.
I know. And once again, before we exit, if you guys have any questions for us or myself or the panel, or you'd like us to hit a certain topic, you can email rubio@therubiomethod.com or ngbntv@gmail.com. On that note, let's cheers to Jenna.
Cheers, Jenna.
Cheers,
Congratulations.
Cheers, Jenna.
Cheers.
Congratulations.
And I will
We'll be-
see everyone.
We'll be expecting your resignation letter soon.
Oh, it also, real quick, our next episode on Decades is going to be live. It's going to be live. It's going to be Tuesday, 1 week from today. So what is that? It's going to be the 17th.
Wow.
At 6 p.m. Pacific time. So you're going to be able to chime in. Sub 60 Ed, we're going to really test him to see if he knows what he's doing. And you're going to be able to chime in, not call, but you're going to be able to chat and text and ask us questions live as we're going.
Cool.
All right, so that's 1 week from today. That's October 17th at 6 p.m. Pacific time. We'll make sure the judge has good Wi-Fi and that I introduce Sub 60.
Please do.
All right. On that note, we're out of here. Take us away, Sub 60.
Thanks for watching Decades on the NGBN.TV network. Be sure to spread the word, and don't forget to subscribe, like, or follow on YouTube, LinkedIn, and Facebook.